Hi, my name's Eric Dahl. I'm going to give you a tour of the Encyclome system that we're building with this particular focus on authorization and authentication, how that's working for us. The tool itself is a productivity aid aimed at highly engaged online people, uh, helping those of us who have multiple email accounts, multiple Dropbox, multiple drives, and are engaged with maybe multiple teams that have a variety of different tools and products. So the challenge we're trying to solve is how to best make sense out of where everything is stored and how do I find documents, emails, messages, communications, and people out of the complexity that arises out of this. When arriving at the encyclome.com homepage, you see that there's some high-level overview information and access to apps. Those apps are restricted at this point until one logs on. A log on is performed at this point, authorizing access via Google. I'll go ahead and authorize myself when logging in. Once I'm logged in, I have access to the applications. We'll take a look at the Find My Stuff application, what we call Finder. This system is intended to be kind of the core, how do I find whatever it is that I'm looking for? The core concept of this is that we configure access to all the different sources that matter to us, whether those are emails, calendars, document sources, etc. The configuration is done in what we call the sources menu here up at the top. Sources can be grouped by a name, by project names. So you see here in this list, I have 3 groups and multiple sources to find. A unique characteristic is that we can define multiple sources of the same type within each project, and across multiple projects you can reuse the same sources if you need to, or you can have them entirely different. From the sources menu, this is where we set up new sources. So for example, in the menus that we have over here, we have the ability to add a new source. So let's, for example, say I want to add a new Google Drive source to my Encyclome projects group. All I need to do is give it a name, the new G Drive source, and it will drop me into the authorization process for that source, whether in this case it's Google, but it may have been Dropbox or other sources. I'm going to go ahead and authorize to my test account on this first pass. You recognize the authorization process, give you a chance to read these and see what they're saying. And when done, that new source is configured in the system, and the system will begin sourcing information from that. You can see here in the sources list, the new G Drive source that I just configured is there. You can look backwards by a certain number of days. So if you want to look back by a week, you can tell the system to go ahead and scan that source. You can have it look back as far as you would like. I just did 7 days for a very quick source. The totals are not updating, but there's actually things being found. The same authorization process works for calendars, contacts, and Google Drive or Gmail, and also works similarly for Dropbox and other sources that we're currently configuring. So this will ultimately have a much longer list of sources that we could provide. When scanning, the system does not reproduce storage of the objects that it's scanning. It simply brings in metadata about those objects, their dates, times, keywords, tags, classifications, etc. We also run some AI keyword extraction on content where it's appropriate to. And that brings the documents, the emails into the tool where they can be filtered, sorted, organized, weighted, etc. By the projects that we work with. I won't go into all the details of this. There's a number of things, but I will just point out, for example, that over on the right-hand side, you can see some of the metadata and the language model extractions. Down at the bottom here, you see the details. This constitutes the metadata for the documents in these cases. We'll look at emails, for example, or similarly. I'm not going to get into all the feature functionality, but we'll point out that back on the sources menu, I can go ahead and reauthorize things that have fallen out of authorization. That's what the exclamation mark down here is all about. This system has detected that there was a case where these particular accounts hadn't been used in a while, and because we're not in production yet, the authorization essentially expired. The drop-down menu gives the person ability to reauthorize these should they need to. There's also the ability to drop sources as you add them. You can drop in a source, or you can drop an entire group and all of its sources if you want to. That drop essentially, it removes the source and the credentials from the database. You can always re-add it later, but there'll be nothing retained between those uses. So that's really it without getting into all the details of the system. That's how the authorization works. Log off or exiting the system can be done back on the website, or you can just leave yourself associated. And that's what I've got. Thank you very much.